Okay, welcome. Glad you're joining us today for Dr. Teach Me to Parent. We have another great program for you today as we look at restorative justice or restorative strategies of how you make peace when there's been conflict. How do we bring about peace when there's been harm and there's been hurt that's been created within families or within a school or in a church or some kind of a social setting. So we're going to take a look at that, and it'll be a great program for you. So get your cup of coffee and join us for our first segment here. But let me put it in perspective for you so that we can just get a kind of handle on what we're going to be talking about today. Here's the quote for the day, okay? No one is ever stronger and stands higher than when he forgives. And that's the key issue. It's forgiveness. We offend people, we hurt people, we trespass upon people, but it's that act of forgiveness, the ability to forgive, the words that we say, the feelings we have that back up forgiveness. That's what makes the difference between people and brings peace where there is harm, to bring happiness where there is hurt. So there we are. That's what we're going to talk about today with Cynthia Kaitfors-Smith. And we're going to introduce her and let you get acquainted with her because she's from our own Fresno Pacific University and teaches restorative strategies to teachers, to parents, and to church leaders and other people. Yeah. So they get a sense of how you bring about peace, I guess, or how you bring about harmony when there's been hurt.
Yes.
And you got a lot of messages here to kind of create today for us. So illustrations and teachings that you're going to give us today. So welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you with us
so
anyway.
Much.
But,
I appreciate it.
Cynthia, who are you?
Who am I?
How are you raised? You know, here you are working in restorative strategy, working with people that have hurt and harm brought into their life. How did you come to this? How were you raised? Were you raised in a way that is a message for you?
Actually, I was, yes. I am a South Dakota girl at heart. That's where I originated from.
That's good stock, by the way.
That is very good stock, yes. And I had two wonderful parents. They have now passed on. However, my mom was half Japanese after World War II, so faced a lot of strife in their lives. But through all of that, she taught us how to treat others, how to forgive others, and how to put that best foot forward. And
do you think she did that because she was Japanese?
Oh, yes.
Or do you think that was something else that is part of her nature, that she really globbed onto that theme of forgiving?
I believe part of that is being Japanese. It's that honor bound that's innate in us.
Yes.
However, going through what she went through, because many Japanese people went through some strife as being treated poorly.
Oh, they're very a lot of trauma in their life.
Yes. And when I was a little girl, I couldn't understand why she never joined anything, even like PTA. And it wasn't until I was much older that I realized she wasn't allowed to.
Oh.
And so it wasn't something that they would allow her into the club. And so I recognized that as a very young girl, and I have a strong faith, and so that just kind of evolved with it. And I realized that there's a lot of stuff going on in each one of our homes, but if we can just glean out the best, we can do things. And I believe that I was born to be a teacher.
So you are teaching, but you're not a classroom teacher.
Well, I'm a classroom teacher for adults.
I see.
With Fresno Pacific, yes.
I see.
Yes.
Yeah. So were you raised kind of in a faith-based home, kind of a Christian-type home? And so the idea of forgiveness and the idea of working together and creating a peace, that was just natural. It was just part of the home, part of the values of your home.
It absolutely was. And that was one of the things, I listened to other people talking about the siblings fighting, and we never fought in our home. There was a lot of harmony, a lot of laughter. We played a lot of games, and I think that's where my background brings me, full circle for what I'm doing now, because that's what it's all about. It's about relationships. And if you show respect and you show love and you have that harmony in your home, it might not always be there because obviously it's not, but we have that opportunity to really just spread it, just spread the love.
So you kind of bring not only a book learning to this topic of how you bring about justice and how you bring about a level of calm or peace or into a family, you really lived it.
Yes,
You know,
I
as
think
well.
so.
I mean, so it
Yes.
comes naturally, you know,
Yes.
for you.
Yes.
And I gather you go into a classroom and you teach children the idea of being restorative with each other, or you deal more with the teachers and administrators of a school and teaching them to work with their kids.
Right.
Where's your approach?
Well, with Fresno Pacific, it's working with the teachers and administrators. And then it is morphed over to families because in my previous careers, I was a school counselor for many, many years. And I found that it's all about parenting. And so our teachers are parents also. Yeah. So we kind of bring that full circle into where if you're having a discipline problem in your classroom, it stemmed from home. Yeah. That's just where it starts. Yeah. And so we have to get to the crux of the problem in order to be able to go forward with it.
I always say parents are the first teacher a kid ever has.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's that first teacher that makes the impact.
Yes.
So that you really want to make sure that you teach parents and you teach teachers, you know, how to deal, I guess, with the conflict that occurs in a child's life.
Yes.
We're seeing a lot of conflict.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, we live in a world of enormous amount of conflict, more than I think we've had in years in the past.
Yes.
I taught school, so I mean I understand a little bit about that. Yeah. How do you understand that? How do you understand the level of conflict that prevails in a typical classroom today?
Well, you know, for us, it's difficult because as baby boomers, we marched the march. And if, you know, I was more afraid of my parents than I was if I was called to the principal's office. I knew that I didn't want to go home. However, nowadays, it's not that way.
Not
we
at all.
don't have that. And so we kind of, for me, I like to bring it in the back door of allowing our teachers or administrators to know that we have to start somewhere, and sometimes we have to start in the school, and we have to start allowing our teachers and our administrators to have that positive communication. And I always joke with the teachers because it's always the student who just gives you havoc every day. And bless his heart, he's never absent or she's never absent. They're there every day. And so those are the ones we want to deal with. We want to be able to come back in and build a relationship with them so that they then will listen to us, because if they don't respect what we're saying, you know, we've lost the team.
In your experience, though, does a child that has a history of conflict and a history of disruption and defiance, at home, and at school, class, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, a child's has a history of conflict and defiance. Can you help that kid?
We can begin to help them.
Do restorative strategies apply?
It will, if we don't have a magic wand, unfortunately.
We're going to talk about what it is in a minute. But
but we can plant seeds. That's what we do. We plant seeds, and we hope that the next teacher, the next administrator, the next person, if it's a coach, or it's a good friend or a parent of a good friend, that they plant the seeds and water them along the way. Because we weren't there when they first started. And you know, as a clinician, all the stages that were there have put in place what he's thinking and how he's acting and how he's probably not responding, but he's probably reacting. And that's our issue, is they're reacting to something rather than responding in a positive way.
If there's one seed,
one seed.
If you could take one seed and plant it in every kid, and particularly the disruptive kids and the defiant kids.
Yes.
But if you had one seed, what would be the message to a parent to make sure that seed gets planted, to a teacher to make sure that seed gets planted? What's the seed?
Empathy.
Empathy. Wow, tell me about that.
Empathy.
Why empathy?
Because our children don't have that innately. That is not something that we automatically have. We have to be taught empathy. And if our parents aren't teaching us empathy, we have children now who don't care. I don't care if I hurt your feelings. And so I have to learn how to bring that about in my heart of how to feel compassion and understanding for you. So if I don't have empathy, I don't have a beginning.
So it's that putting yourself in the shoes of others, isn't it?
Yes.
It's that ability to just feel the feelings of others.
Yes.
That's a tough skill to learn.
But it's not unlearnable. I mean, you can learn it.
Okay, what would you do if you're talking to a parent or you're talking to a teacher, and your goal is to say, okay, I want you to get an idea of how to put empathy into every kid's head.
Okay,
How would you go about that?
I should be walking on water here. I don't know.
We would be.
Yes. However, when we're talking if it's a teacher, if we're talking to our teachers, we want them to build a relationship. You can't go forward with anything if we don't have relationships with them. So that's the first part of planting that seed of empathy, of going, oh my goodness, I can almost understand how you feel about that. Can you tell me a little bit more? What can I do to understand what your situation is all about? Because maybe they've never had anybody listen. And we don't have a lot of listening going on now. We have a lot of talking, a lot of words, but not a lot of active listening. Yeah.
Communication starts with listening.
Yes.
We usually think communication starts with talking.
No. Yeah, it's absolutely right.
But if you don't have the skill of listening, you will never be a communicator.
That's right.
So, it is that give and take back and forth, but you have to listen.
Oh, yes.
And I think there's a deeper level of listening, though, that maybe you can comment on that. I call it the heart cry. It's what the kid cries about, that the kid feels. And how does a parent tap into that? How does a parent understand that kind of heart cry of our kids today?
Well, first of all, they have to care that they have that heart cry. And generally, if they do have that cry, then they're if we can get to them and have an opportunity to work with them and teach them, we teach them that, I think we missed something here when we were talking, because we would role play it.
Sure.
And, we could go back and say, but did you understand that what I just told you was really deep in my heart? And you skipped over that, and you talked about something else. And so it's really about the parent learning how to listen and learning how to then communicate back. And it's okay if we don't have the right answers, because we don't, not all the time. Every child is going to be different, their temperament, their personalities, how we treat them. And I think that's one of the things that brought me into this field way back years ago. I have 3 brothers, and we were all raised in the same house with the same people, but we're all different.
That's right.
Yes, and so it was like, all right, how did that happen? But it was the expectations of our parents.
Sure.
They treated us all differently, although we were all in the same
Well, let me
house.
ask you this one then. If you want to implant the idea of empathy in a kid, that they learn empathy, can a parent do that if the parent is not empathetic? Can a teacher do that if the teacher is not empathetic? I mean, don't you have to have that ability? You've learned it yourself first.
Yes.
And then you teach it to your child.
Yes.
Is that the principle?
Generally, yes. Yes, and I would hope that that's what it is. However, I have seen as a school counselor, my high school students who are living with parents without that, maybe because of addictions or abuse, and when I'm able to get that through to them, they can then come into a meeting with myself and maybe someone else in the room as mediators with the parents and the child can then talk about, well, Mom, this is how you didn't help me when I was talking to you, or Dad, you didn't hear what I did. And then all of a sudden, hopefully the parents have that aha moment. They're going, oh, wow, I didn't understand.
Kids are often a good teacher, by the way. They can teach parents to listen to them.
Yes.
They can teach parents to understand how they're feeling.
Yes.
They don't have all the words, but they have some words.
Yes.
No matter how old a child is, they have some words that child, and it's your job to kind of help the child say it so the parent can hear that and learn that, and together they learn empathy.
Yes.
Don't they?
They sure do. Yeah, it's a walk together, that's for sure. And it's not a walk in the park, because parenting is a difficult job.
That's right.
It is a difficult job.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've been talking with Cynthia Kaitfors-Smith, and what I want you to do is go get a cup of coffee. We're going to take a break here, and I'm going to ask you, Cynthia, when we get back, if there's a second seed.
A second seed.
Okay, we talked about that first seed, that you wanted empathy to be in the mind and body and emotions of every child.
Yes.
If you're going to pick a second one, we're not going to go on a long list of this, but if we're going on a second one, what would that be? So get your coffee and come on back in a minute, and see you then.
The Green Gables Gables Care Home is a 24-hour assisted living facility for the elderly located in Clovis, California, offering spacious private and semi-private rooms which are wheelchair approved, catering to the special person in your life who needs attention and wants to live in a loving home environment. The Green Gables Care Home has assisted living in secured homes for elderly with Alzheimer's, memory loss, and for your loved ones needing assistance with their activities of daily living. Call 559-297-9438 and visit greengablescarehome.com.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope. Please donate today.
Do you need a locksmith? Layman's Lock and Safe Service and Repair is available for you. 559-228-1805.
Gained a lot, learned a lot, and got a lot of love. If it weren't for the knowledge that I had gained from the classes at PCC, I probably wouldn't be the mom I am today. See, there it goes.
I would love you to meet my son, Aaron. My situation was very difficult. I didn't know how my life was going to turn out.
We graduated in June 2010, and we got married in July. And through family, the Pregnancy Care Center changed our lives.
The Pregnancy Care Center was a huge, vital part in helping me walk through that pregnancy, in educating me and loving on me during that time.
Choosing a Medicare plan can be difficult and frustrating. Susan Hatch can guide you through the Medicare maze and help find the right plan for you. Susan helps people understand the confusing and drastic changes that occur every year in Medicare. Susan will only recommend plans that will protect your assets and allow you to continue to see your personal doctor. As a 100% independent agent, Susan is not controlled by any particular insurance company to steer a person onto any one particular plan. Susan was awarded the #1 Medicare supplement agent in California. Look for Susan's Medicare question and answers every Monday in the Fresno Bee. Call Susan at 559-307-2287 and visit MedicareToday.net.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Okay, welcome back as we talk on the restorative strategies of how you help somebody who's been hurt, somebody that's been damaged, somebody that's been attacked. How do you help that person heal? And what is the healing process? And what goes on? And how do we work with children so they don't hurt each other? And how do we work with parents so they don't hurt each other or they don't hurt children either? And so we're looking at ways in which the strategies of restoration can be applied in the life of kids, in the life of homes, in the life of a classroom or a church or any kind of a social group. So that's what we're looking at today, and glad you're joining us now for our little second segment here with Cynthia Kaitfors-Smith. So Fresno Pacific University, Department of Online Education, I guess, and Continuing Education.
Continuing Education.
Cynthia, help me understand. Every kid is hurt.
Yes.
Every parent comes with hurt.
Yes.
How do hurt parents help hurt kids? And how do hurt kids become unhurt? I mean, we live in a world of hurt.
We do. And truthfully, without a foundation of faith, without a foundation of God, it's really, really tough to walk out of that muck and mire that you're in. And so part of that, and it's a privilege for me to be with Fresno Pacific University because we are founded on the Lord Jesus Christ. And so when we're out there and we're talking to families, not in like a school setting, but out in another area, unless I'm at Emmanuel or something where they are able to do that, we can then bring that in. But if I'm speaking with parents and I'm helping parents, it's very easy for me to say, well, you can do this. But I also know inside, you can do this because I've done it. Mm-hmm. And I saw my mother do it. And so we can go beyond the hurt, but we want to teach responsibility. We want to teach it with love, because if we have a hurt and we want to get vengeance, and vengeance says, is only the Lord's. We don't get to, we don't get to do it, and we generally don't get to see it happen.
However, you were talking earlier about you wanted to implant in every kid empathy, the ability to be empathetic, and the ability to consider other people's feelings and feel how other people feel. You just mentioned responsibility. Is that kind of like a second seed we were talking about a little while ago? That you want to teach kids that they have a sense of responsibility to themselves, to their parents, to their teachers, to their friends, on down the line, right?
Absolutely.
How do you do that?
Oh, my goodness. Gently, very gently, because you never want to have, especially if you're working with the children, you never want them to know that you really have an agenda of planting seeds and getting them to do what you want them to do. You want them to know that you understand and love them. And truthfully, if we're working with children that are hurt, the only thing they do here is love and compassion. And so if I want you to take care of yourself and have that self-care, have that responsibility in your mindset to go, what, I need to take responsibility, rather than make excuses for why I did something. It's many times when I was working with alternative ed students, and they would, start on their triad, well, I did this because, and I go, no, that's a timeout.
That's all excuses.
Yes. I want to know, what caused you to do that? Well, because isn't an answer. So let's go back and let's talk about what you did may have hurt someone else. Do you understand how they felt? And that's where restorative really comes about. It comes about by restoring the hurt that you've caused and making restitution to that. And that doesn't mean punitive. It means maybe it's emotional. Maybe it's emotional restitution.
Yeah. There's always situations that promote us to feel certain feelings and then to act in certain ways. Yes. And then we blame that situation for why we behaved the way we did. And you didn't say that. You said something different. You said the situation might have provoked you to being angry or being upset or being hurt, but you acted on a different basis. Explain that a little bit further.
Well, I don't even know what I said, so you were listening really well. But what I'm saying is that our young people go with what they feel. Mm-hmm. And so if you messed up my time, whatever I was doing, you got in my way, I have the right to then get you out of the picture.
Because you're the cause of it.
You're the cause, It's not my reaction to you. It's what you did to me. And we really want our young people, especially our young people right now in this society where it's all about getting revenge or, get up and into your face and scream in your face and yell hateful things. That's not where life is at. That's not where we want our young people to be, because they're going to be the adults someday. Mm-hmm. But what we have to remember too is when we're working with young people, a mature brain is not until about 25.
That's right.
And so if we are looking at brain development, and this is one of the things that I teach my teachers when I'm working with them or with parents. And a matter of fact, I showed it to a group of parents a couple of months ago, and I put up my diagram of the brain from 5 years old to 25. And a father was like, oh my goodness, I had no idea. And I would tell him, you have a 3-year-old and you're talking to the child like she should understand everything you're saying, and she's not going to. And so it really changed how he was then far more compassionate, far more understanding, and realizing that he needed to take a couple step backs and then teach his child about love and understanding. And there's that empathy word again, and going back into empathy, because I don't think he had it.
So it's getting back to that kid, the child, and helping that child see that he has options. You can behave this way, behave that way, no matter what happened.
Yes.
No matter who promoted, who prompted you to be hurt.
Yes.
Or who caused the hurt. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. So you're trying to say we have to help kids understand that when they're hurt, now they have a decision to make. Are they going to hurt back?
Exactly.
Or are they going to help back?
That's right. That's exactly right.
I mean, if you will, if you think of it that way.
Absolutely, because we want them to understand that, what was the expression we had when we were young? 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Oh, yes, yes.
2 wrongs do not make a right. Therefore, we need to put a right in there. And that's when the students do have a choice. I can either do here or I can do there. And it's kind of like you got the devil on this side and the angel over here, and which one you're going to listen to. And that's really where we're at. We need our children to understand that you have a choice to respond in a compassionate, understanding way, or you can be mean and a bully. That's just,
You know, when every kid is hurt and at home and in family life, there's everyday interactions, and brother beats up sister and brother beats up other brothers. I mean, you have all this stuff going on in homes. That's just natural stuff that's going on at home. Is the restorative strategy approach to be used in all these situations, or are they unique to certain kinds of situations? The strategy you teach.
Oh, no.
Is this a general thing for all families and all interactions?
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Well, because it's who caused the problem, how was it handled, who was involved, what did you expect to gain from it? So if you and I are squabbling, we're siblings and we're squabbling, what was the main point? What was happening? Why did I do that? Why did I respond or react to you? And do you understand how I felt about it? How are we going to make it right? And that's really what restorative is all about, is you have the issue, you find out what went wrong, why you did it, but how do we make it right? And that's the same in families. You want to make sure that you have harmony in the home. And without harmony, my goodness, we have chaos if we don't.
Well, help me understand this in a very practical kind of way. Kids fight. Kids squabble. Kids get into conflict. Do you stop all that and then teach this thing about restoring themselves right then? Or is this table talk? Is this dinner talk? Is this car talk? Is this before bedtime talk?
It's all of the above.
When you teach a child, how to think through how they're going to react when people hurt them.
And that is all of the above, all of the talks. However, you begin it by having that initial talk when we're squabbling, and mom's coming in, and we now know we're in trouble, and it's a talk then. But depending on our ages, because I'm not sure what age you're thinking of, but if we're like young elementary, there are many children's books out there. Mom or dad could sit down and go, you know what, let's just read this, if they have that mindset in the home. If not, it's we need to sit down and talk about what caused this issue, because we're not going to allow it to be causing the strife in the home anymore.
So kids are going to learn more from the sitting down and talking.
If it's a compassionate understanding talking, and not long. Parents, oh my goodness, if you are going on and on and on, you lost them like in the first 3 minutes. So it has to be
this long big lecture we give as parents.
Yeah.
Huh? We do it. We all do that.
And we all do it. Yeah. And I'm sure my sons cut me off, after the first 3 minutes.
My kids used to say, "That's lecture 36, Dad."
Exactly. Yes.
They've heard it many times.
Yes. My children always tell me that I don't know a short story, and I'm sure that's true. But it's a short conversation. Get to the point. Talk to them. Be understanding, and just say, this is not how our family's going to survive in this home, because we are going to have harmony and love. And you two if we're the only siblings in the home, we only have each other.
That's right.
And so if we don't love each other as we get older, what's going then once we leave the home, what's our relationship going to be? And it's all just melted in together.
So maybe what you're really saying is that a parent has to see themselves first as a teaching parent, because most of their job is not being a policeman.
No,
it's being a teacher.
Yes.
In the home. Now, if they are not a teacher, then they become a policeman, perhaps.
Yes.
Maybe you become a policeman by default. Yes. But you really are a teacher to teach kids how to not only get along, but how to restore themselves when they did not get along.
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely. And we have to back up to think that maybe the parents didn't have that. So if the parents don't have that, how are they going to be able to teach? Because many times our parenting is intergenerational, and we parent like we've been parented, unless we have a little more education and we learn that, gosh, yelling and screaming and throwing things is not the proper way to get the attention of my children.
Sure.
You know, but if we are parents that love and understand our children, that are walking in faith, I mean, my goodness, we just had an assignment in my early child development class of what would Jesus do? And it's all about what does he expect us to do when we're raising our families? How should we live? And it's a book of love. And I was telling my students that the other night, that the Bible is a book of love. God is showing us how we should be raising our families, how we should be treating each other. And it's just remarkable that, you know, is all in there. And it doesn't say beat your child, but it certainly says you need to give them some discipline, you know, by nicely saying or getting their attention by saying, ooh, we don't say that in this house.
Well, if a parent loves a kid and the kid picks it up, knows it, believes it, feels it, experiences it, then the kid can love his brother.
Absolutely.
Or sister.
Absolutely.
Or whomever.
Yes.
I mean, then it can be passed on.
Yes.
But it's got to be there.
Yes.
I always tell kids, I says, it isn't so much that your mother loves you, or your father loves you. That's important, but it's not really important. What is really important is that you believe that your mother loves you, and that you believe your father loves you.
Yes.
You know that your mother loves you and your father loves you. That's what's important.
Yes.
Because parents can say, I love you.
Yeah.
But sometimes they don't even mean that, and kids don't take it seriously. They know that it's just words.
Exactly.
And they know when it's feeling, and they know when it's genuine.
Yes. And young children, you know, like 3, 4 and under, they can feel the difference. They can feel the insincerity if you are just words. It's amazing. I've seen this actually happen with a family. And the child realized dad was going in a different direction, and she wouldn't have anything to do with him. And it was just really sad that at such a young age, she saw that the love was only talk.
Sure. Hey, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
And here's what I want you to think about. And
All right.
We're going to come back in our break. I want you to assume, right, that before us, we have 2 kids.
Okay.
And we have a mother, and we have a father, or a father and a mother, whatever.
Yes.
What would you tell them if they have just had a conflict? Mm-hmm. How would you step into that conflict? Mother fighting with kids, kids fighting with dad, and so on. How would you step into that conflict, and what would you say?
Okay.
Okay, come on back in a couple minutes with a cup of coffee in your hand, and we'll see you then.
Dentist who has a passion for superior aesthetics and comfort, you need Dr. Christopher Wong with Cedar North Dental. Call 559-432-4948 or visit cedarnorthdental.com.
Hey! China's closing the club.
Tanya, come here.
At Boys and Girls Clubs, it's not just about trying new things.
Kitchen, my hometown.
It's not about learning the right steps.
4,
or making contact.
5, 6, 7, 8.
It's not about exploring the future. It's about helping them build it. It's about taking steps to greatness. About making a connection. It's about proving every kid and teen has what it takes. It's about people in our clubs who bring out the greatness in every kid who enters our doors. It's not just about being on stage. It's about walking across it. Great futures start here, and here, and here.
Sat7 is a Christian media network that uses uncensored satellite television to broadcast across the Middle East and North Africa, and is also available globally online.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Okay, welcome back as we now bring together this kind of a topic on restorative strategies of how you help parents, how you help teachers, help children restore their relationships when they've had hurt and when they fight and when they have conflict and when there's damage that's done. How does a parent step into a hole? How does a parent step into the gap and kind of work with those kids so that that kind of behavior doesn't continue, but that there's healing? That's really the point, that there's healing, that there's forgiveness, and that there's kind of a renewed relationship between kids that have otherwise broken their relationship because of hurt.
Yes.
And Cynthia Kaitfors-Smith is with us from Fresno Pacific University, and this is what she does for a living. Teaches parents and teaches kids and teaches teachers how to use restorative strategies in the classroom and in the home and working with children so that these kids learn ways of problem solving and I'll call it problem prevention, if you will.
Yes.
Cynthia, let's take a scenario. You have a family, you have kids that are maybe 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. They are in conflict with each other, frequently in conflict. Mother tries to deal with it, dad tries to deal with it. But now you have both parents standing in front of you, and you have the kids there. What would you say to them?
Okay. Well, if they're standing in front of me, first of all, I'm going to have them sit down.
Okay. That's good. That's a good point, by the way.
Yes.
That's a very good point.
Just have them sit down and relax.
Parents really need to learn that point about you do more teaching sitting than you do standing.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And truthfully, when we have issues going on like that, there's an issue going on in the home with the siblings. There's something happening between the siblings. There's usually a sibling rivalry. The older one feels like he or she has all the responsibility. The young one feels like he gets all the attention, and it just can go on and on and on like that. And what I had mentioned earlier was that you can have 4 children in the same home, and they're all going to be raised differently because of their aptitudes, their skills, their talents, their personalities, their temperament. And so if we have 2 children in the home and they're squabbling, there's an issue going on in the home because the parents maybe aren't parenting that are going to be positive for both children. And it's a tough one because if you have a child that's a little more aggressive or assertive, they're going to then maybe pick on the one they're jealous of. So you really have to
tell those parents standing in front of you, this kid you treat this way, this kid you treat that way.
Yeah.
This kid you talk to in this manner, this kid you talk to in that manner.
Yes.
You're going to be better than talking to both of them in the same way. Is that what you're...
That's exactly right. I actually just had stated that to one of my students the other day. Because, like I said earlier, I teach early child development, and she was talking about her children. And I said, well, you are letting one get away with something, you don't let the other one get away. Oh, no, that's not true, Cynthia. And I go, no, this is what... True. And I says, I'm hearing you say it. And she was like, oh my goodness! You know, all of a sudden it's kind of like the light bulb coming on because
parents
we don't
need that kind of third ear, or that third eye, or that third person that can say, "Do you hear what you're saying? Do you see what you're doing?"
Yes. And so in order to bring back, because now maybe we have parents who don't have the same parenting techniques.
Sure.
Dad is a little more strict, mom is a pushover, or maybe dad works a lot of hours, so when he's with the children, he just wants to love and have fun with them. Feed them ice cream right before dinner.
Very common.
And so many times when we get married, we don't talk about, well, how do you want to parent? How do I want to parent?
Yeah.
We just go do it. And we find that there's conflict already in our parenting styles from the way your parents raised you and my parents raised me. So it's like a huge, huge cycle that just keeps going.
Yeah. So do you speak more to the kids in that kind of a situation if you're going to meet with a family, or do you speak more to the parents?
I think I would begin with the parents, but only in a positive way because the children are sitting there. But I might ask them to role play. I might ask the older child to be dad and the younger child to be mom, or be the other child, and let them role play it so that all people in the situation can see how the other person sees it. So so if you're the fifth grade person being dad, and I'm watching you, and I'm going to go, oh yeah, sure, that's what you see. That's not what I see. And that's why we're fighting.
That's a very good point. We always see it from our own perspective.
Yes.
It's biased. If we're a hurt party, if we're the person who's been hurt, we only see hurt.
Yes.
But we have to get out around and see it from the point of view of the other person, don't we? Whether it's child to child or whether it's child to parent, but you have to see it in the eyes of the other person. That's a tough skill to develop.
Yes. Yeah, it is really tough.
But it's an important one, I think.
It's absolutely important, yes. And as a lot of times we don't pay attention to that. We think we're the parent, therefore we don't have to think like the child. But many times we want to be able to go back and say, well, how really were you feeling about that? And we're back to that active listening again.
I always think of it this way, that a parent says, I'm the parent, you got to listen to me.
Yes.
Really, the parent should say, I'm the parent and I'm going to listen to you.
Yes. Right on.
What a whole different way of approaching it, isn't it?
Yes, that's absolutely right on. And we don't have a lot of that going on. We don't.
Well, we do it through power.
Well,
parents are bullies. Not all of them.
Yeah.
But they're bigger and stronger and louder and in more power.
Yeah.
So it's easy to bully a kid into believing something or accepting something or just taking whatever you happen to say.
Yes.
But as a parent, your job is to listen, and your job is to help develop the skill of listening in your kids so that they will listen.
Right.
And then we're off doing good stuff.
Because we want them to be contributing citizens as adults. And if we don't give them the skills along the way, they're not going to make it. Or they may make it, but their road is going to be so curvy.
Oh.
And many of us have taken that curvy road, and it takes a little while for it to straighten out, And then, of course, we're back to, doing what God has planned for us to be here on this earth. And, many times families don't ever think about, why am I here? Why was I put on this earth? What is the reason I'm here? And for those of us in education and those of us who love to work with families, that's why we're here. And it takes us a while to get the knowledge. I don't say wisdom because I'm still trying to get the wisdom, but get the knowledge and then share it.
Yeah. You mentioned something a little while ago that's important, and that is you have a child that's been abused. And maybe by a parent within the home, maybe by somebody in the home, maybe somebody outside the home. But your job then as a parent is to help restore that child to fullness, to health. How do you help a child that's been abused?
Oh, my goodness.
What do you say to a child? How do you help a parent help a child?
Right. Well, that's when you give them the wisdom to go to counseling. Absolutely.
I see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so.
Yes. As a clinician, you definitely.
We see a lot of these kids, and parents.
Yes.
And they need to come together, by the way.
Absolutely. Yes. Because we have to remember that our children are going to be struggling with possibly PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. And those flashbacks can come at any time. They're not going to feel that secure trust environment they should have as a family. And so it just arrests everything else that's coming behind it. And so it's really a tough one. But they definitely are going to need to have some counseling. But if you're working with a child in the school and you happen to be the teacher or the administrator, you then have, and the parents have shared that with you, you then have that extra added piece of the puzzle working with a child who maybe has a meltdown or who isn't doing well, and add a little more love, a little more understanding, give them a little more one-on-one so that they feel good
What
about
this
themselves.
situation? You have an adult, been been abused as a child, never said anything about it, never told anybody, carried it with them all these years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever it might be, and all of a sudden wants to deal with it.
Wow.
What do you tell an adult? How does an adult heal themselves, so to speak, after they've had hurt and they've carried it with them for years, for whatever reason it might be?
You know, forgiving yourself is a real tough one. But also making restitution and apologies and asking for forgiveness to the victim.
Is that right?
You know, if it's possible, but obviously, again, you know, counseling, whether it's going to a faith-based or someone else that you trust, but you're going to need some counseling. And then once you're, you know, if you are walking in the faith, you know that God has forgiven you. If you ask for forgiveness, you're going to get it. Now the hard part is forgive yourself and to make
forgiving another.
And forgiving another.
I mean, it's both ways, because usually in a situation like that, there is
usually yes.
You have a certain responsibility yourself. You got to give yourself it. You have to allow yourself that forgiveness, but you also have to forgive the other person who has actually been a source of hurt.
Oh, okay. I was taking it from the other person.
I mean, well, both ways. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, if you have been hurt, I'm sorry, I was taking it as you were the one hurting, but if you have been hurt from another, absolutely, you're going to have to forgive that person. As hard as that may be, that's a huge mountain to get over, but in order to be a healthy person, we have to move on in forgiveness.
Sure.
That's part of life.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this before we bring this to a close today. You teach teachers.
Yes.
And you teach parent groups.
Yes.
And you teach them ways in which they can be, obviously, better parents in the area of conflict and having been hurt, so that there's peace that's brought back into the life of a child again, or peace brought back into a home or into a classroom, for that matter. Do you have classes that you offer? You want parents to come to the school and learn? Do you go to a classroom? Do you go to a church? Where do you teach these skills?
I will take program and travel. I will come to you. I do go out to church groups and the mom groups and teach parenting there. We do go into the schools and do professional development. And you can either do what we call a blended, which is face-to-face for 2 days, and I come in and train face-to-face with restorative strategies. And then you take a few assignments to finish the course, or you can take an online class. But we really love.
There's an online class in this.
There's
you
absolutely
can learn how
yes.
How do you access that?
Through our website, which I believe will be put up, and you can just go in there, or you can email me. I definitely will answer your emails. But we really love to get out into the schools and get into the churches and teach our parenting. We are absolutely faith-based to go into churches, and so it would be a delight, absolutely a delight.
So a teacher in a classroom that is struggling with a classroom of conflict.
Yes.
Oh, they're going to sit there all year and do this.
Yes.
I would imagine a teacher like that would love to have you come by and teach them some basic strategies of how to approach that class, just to calm it down a little bit.
You know, we do go out to the schools, and the schools that have our restorative strategies from the top down, and that's by the administration down all the way through to their staff, it does make a huge difference, because you're all working from the same playbook, and so you're all using the same techniques. So if it's a junior high school, you go, it doesn't matter what class you're in, you're all using the same type of restorative talk. You're using the same type of policy rules that we want to have in there. And the students help make the rules in the classroom.
Sure.
It's not like you come in and the rules are up on the wall. You help decide what the rules in your classroom will be, and then every student signs it along with the teacher. And so then if you are acting out, if you're having problems, then and my constructive thoughts to you are going, be quiet, or I'm giving you eye contact, like I see what you're doing, or I come over and have that close proximity, maybe you're using your phone when you shouldn't be, or, something like that, then that, is a nice way for a reminder for you to go, oh, okay, Miss Kaitfors sees what I'm doing, I need to knock it off. But, when we have classes that everybody's doing it, it's all the same, and then they just know. And I've talked to students who have gone through classes to where, our environment is so calm. It's not always, because people are people, but generally it's very harmonious.
Because you're teaching kids and you're teaching parents to be more sensitive, to be more empathetic, to be more caring for each other, to be more thoughtful of the feelings of other people, to take action to soothe or to heal the feelings of other people.
Yes.
And that's obviously going to calm down the classroom, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, if you approach that,
Yes.
from that point of view.
And if you have a problem, then we have what we call a thinkery, or a safe place where we can send the student out when they're in school. So they need to just go out. They need to remove themselves from where they're at, because obviously they have now blocked the teacher from teaching, and all the rest of the students are just like, okay, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to act? And so we remove the student from there, and then they have a time to just, deflate that, think about what they've been saying or doing, and then re-enter the class. We don't want them to be suspended. We want them to stay in school. That's where they learn. That's how they're going to become successful. And that's really the bottom line, is becoming successful citizens.
So if a teacher, a parent, a youth leader wanted to involve you as part of a resource for them in their church or their school or home or whatever, they would contact you at the website.
Yes.
That's now on the screen.
Yes.
And you would respond to that.
Absolutely.
And set up some kind of a contact or a way of reaching out to them and being of help to them.
Absolutely.
So you're open to that. This is a service. This is a
Yes.
free service, or are you charged for this? Or?
Actually, the first time I will go to you, and it's a free consultation. Absolutely. Because maybe what you need I don't have. And so I want to make sure that I'm giving you everything that you need. And if that's the case, then it's a free consultation. Absolutely.
And this is a service of Fresno Pacific University.
Yes.
Is that, and you're part of that. So
and I'm part of that.
It's all tied together. So,
Yes.
And you work with the Fresno Unified School District?
We have, other people have done it. I'm not personally doing it, but once they learn it, they take it out and they train their other teachers. So
charter schools?
Yes, absolutely.
I see. So a charter school would be a good source.
Yes. We've done several.
Smaller classes and more intimate, and maybe something like this would be very helpful to a charter school.
Yeah. And we've done several charter schools, and we've done parenting at the charter schools, and the parents are hungry. And I've noticed even with our moms groups in the churches, they're hungry for this information. And so it's just really an honor and a privilege to be able to go out and do that.
Well, I think, hey, you did good. Thank you for today.
Oh, thank you.
And,
I appreciate it.
I hate to call this restorative justice, because we usually think of crime in that kind of context, but it is bringing justice to relationships, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's bringing justice to harmony, it maybe is a better word, to parent-child relationships, teacher-child relationships.
Yes.
And that's what we're doing.
Yes.
And if a kid learns that early.
Wow. Sky's the limit.
It's early, isn't it?
Yeah.
The sooner the better.
The sooner
That's
the better.
why you emphasize the elementary classrooms.
Absolutely.
Because you really want kids at that earlier age to learn this, don't you?
Yeah. Well, and with parents, when they're toddlers, get them when they're young, because that's when they really want to listen to you. They want to please you. I mean, our children want to be loved by us and make us happy, and we can give them joy. Happiness happiness is fleeting, but it's that joy we want them to have.
Yeah, let me give you a parenting tip for the day. I have another quote for you, and then this will help you just think through your own parenting and how this all ties together.
Yes.
And maybe you can make a final comment about it, okay? An apology is a good way to have the last word.
That is just an amen.
Tell us about that.
That is an amen right there, because, we can fight back and forth, and you want the last word, I want the last word, but there it is. If you can apologize, it's a done deal.
Then it's over.
It's over, yes.
And then we move on.
Yes.
It's got to be obviously a genuine apology, right?
Exactly, yeah.
We hear a lot of apologies on television that we know are just plastic and fake.
Yes.
But a genuine apology, we know when we hear one.
Yeah,
don't
do. We do.
We feel it deep within ourselves.
Absolutely.
Anyway, thanks for joining us today on Dr. Teach Me to Parent, and we'll pick it up again next week. So thanks for joining us.
Yes,
Bye for now. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Pompe disease is a progressive, multisystemic, debilitation, and often fatal muscular disease. The United Pompe Foundation was formed to assist those affected by Pompe with the medical costs and other expenses that they may not be able to fully cover through their insurance. Visit UnitedPompe.com to learn more and to make a tax-deductible contribution to the United Pompe Foundation.
set foot on the campus to come visit it, I was struck by how open and how welcoming the students and the professors were. Coming to Gordon was like coming home.
I think intentional community is what Jesus modeled with his disciples, and Gordon has really fostered a good place for intentional community to happen.
Gordon is a place where you can meet people from all over the world and hear their stories. I meet a lot of different people who are shaping who I am today.
Gordon seeks to graduate men and women of character and of leadership, and the world is the place where Gordon students belong.
Choosing to go to Gordon was, I think, one of the best decisions I've made in my life. Expect to be changed.
Connect with Dr. Allan Hedberg. Watch Doctor Teach Me to Parent on CentralValleyTalk.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Listen to The Psychology Report anytime at thepsychologyreport.buzzsprout.com. Visit booksbyhedberg.com and order a book for your personal growth. And join the conversation on twitter.com/AllanGHedberg. Diane Ainsworth's books of poetry and scriptures are available at condiopress.com and as ebooks at amazon.com. Diane hopes the words in her books will convey the unconditional love Jesus has for you. Learn more at godsinspirationsblog.wordpress.com and get a copy of Diane's books today.